The biggest lie people are told is that they need to be realistic, because realistic sounds wise and responsible. It sounds like the safe choice. But a lot of the time, realistic is just fear with better vocabulary. And the people who do extraordinary things usually start out looking a little delusional. They believe before they have proof. They move before they feel ready. They act like the future is already theirs, even when the present gives them no reason to think that way. That sounds crazy until it works. By the end of this video, you will know the difference between delusion that destroys you and delusion that builds you. Here is the problem. Your brain does not care about your dream. It cares about your survival. It wants what is familiar. It wants less pain, less risk, less embarrassment, less uncertainty. That is why doing something bold can feel wrong, even when it is right. The brain is not asking, what will make me great? It is asking, what will keep me safe? And if you do not understand that, you will keep mistaking fear for wisdom. So what is the difference between real delusion and useful delusion? Real delusion says, I deserve everything while doing nothing. Useful delusion says, I am not there yet, but I am going there. And then backs that belief with obsession. That is the key. Belief alone is not enough. Work alone is not enough. But when belief and work meet, something inevitable happens. You stop waiting for the world to validate you. Roger Bannister is the perfect example. For years, people treated the 4-minute mile like a ceiling that could not be broken. In July 1945, the mile record was 4 minutes and 1.2 seconds, and experts believed the sub-4-minute mile was basically impossible. Then Bannister did it on May 6, 1954, and after that, 22 more runners broke the barrier within 2 months. That is the part people miss. The barrier was not just physical, it was mental. Before Bannister, everyone treated the limit like truth. After Bannister, the same limit looked small. That is how many impossible things work. They stay impossible until one person stops believing the label. Stan Lee understood that too. He saw a fly on a wall and imagined a hero who could do the same thing. Then he built the idea step by step. The power, the name, the character, the personality. He chose Spider-Man, gave him teenage problems, and got rejected because people thought spiders were ugly. Teenagers were not supposed to be heroes, and superheroes were supposed to be perfect. But the idea survived the rejection. Spider-Man appeared in the last issue of Amazing Fantasy, and then the character became iconic. That is what belief looks like in creative form, not arrogance, conviction. He trusted the idea before the industry did. And that is the difference between creating something new and copying what already exists. Bill Gates and Quentin Tarantino show the same pattern. People love the final success story, but they ignore the ugly middle. Gates had access, timing, and opportunity, but Microsoft still struggled for years before the breakthrough. Tarantino did not wake up famous. He spent years grinding before his work finally hit. Their stories are not instant success stories. They are endure the empty middle stories. That middle is where most people quit. Not because they are lazy, because they cannot tolerate looking foolish for too long. But almost every great result has a long phase where nothing seems to be happening. That is not failure. That is the price of becoming. Now here is the part people do not like to hear. Luck matters. A lot. People overcredit themselves, underestimate circumstance, and forget how much of success is shaped by things they did not control. That includes where you are born, who you meet, what timing you get, and which tiny advantage compounds first. But here is the twist. Acknowledging luck does not make you weak. It makes you honest. And honesty is powerful because it keeps you from becoming entitled. The healthiest mindset is not, I control everything. It is, I am responsible for what I do and grateful for the luck that helped me get here. That balance is rare, and it is one reason the best people stay grounded while still aiming high. So why does delusional belief help at all? Because belief changes behavior before proof arrives. If you believe you are becoming someone bigger, you start moving differently. You start speaking differently. You start taking action you would normally avoid. And every small action trains your brain. Every scary call, every awkward post, every pitch, every workout, every rep you do before you feel ready. That is how the brain changes. Not through wishing, through evidence. You do one brave thing, then another, until your nervous system stops treating courage like an emergency. This is where most people fail. They think confidence is something you either have or you do not. It is not. Confidence is often just repeated proof, but proof does not appear first. You create it. You have to act like the person you are becoming before the world agrees with you. And yes, that feels fake at first. That is normal. Every major identity shift feels uncomfortable in the beginning because your current self is fighting to stay the same. That is why the early phase feels like lying. You are not lying. You are rehearsing your future. There is also a psychological trick hidden inside this. When you behave like a person with a future, your mind starts organizing around that future. That is why some people become more focused after they commit publicly. That is why some people suddenly get serious after they choose a path. The brain starts filtering reality differently once a belief becomes strong enough. You stop seeing only what is dangerous. You start noticing what is possible. That does not mean everything suddenly becomes easy. It means your attention changes. And when attention changes, action changes. And when action changes, results start to move. But let us be clear, delusional self-belief is not supposed to replace effort. If you are only imagining success, you are wasting time. The real version is uglier and more powerful. You believe something big enough to keep going when logic tells you to stop. You work while nobody is watching. You stay in the game when progress is invisible. You keep repeating the right actions until momentum shows up. That is the part people do not want. They want the identity. They do not want the discipline. But the discipline is what makes the identity real. So here is the rule. Be delusional enough to start, be disciplined enough to continue, be humble enough to remember luck, and be stubborn enough to outlast doubt. That is the whole game. Just a person who decides the current version of reality is not the final version, and then keeps acting like that until the world catches up. That is when delusion stops being a joke. That is when it becomes power. That is when people look at you and say, I guess they always knew. And the truth is, you did.